Welcome everyone, this is Andre's Restart, and today we are talking about the wait for Nintendo fans finally ending soon. But for what exactly? We are not sure. It could be for the rumored and speculated and theorized Nintendo Direct that we usually tend to see in February. It could also be for the long-rumored Waker and Twilight Princess HD. There are certain things that have been popping up lately, and they continue to pop up, that seem to be suggesting that maybe an announcement for these could be happening soon. But it also might be the case that Metroid Prime 4, this game Nintendo announced back in summer of 2017, could finally be shown off soon. And then there is the Nintendo Switch 2. This system that is bound to come at some point, whatever Nintendo actually calls it, and many seem to think that the announcement is right around the corner. So there's different things that Nintendo fans have been waiting for, and it seems like all of these are sort of bubbling up. We're reaching kind of a boiling point here, where at least one of them should be shown to some capacity soon. So what is that exactly? Well, that's what I'd like to talk about today. But before going forward, let me point out that we are aiming to reach 50,000 subscribers, so if you do enjoy my content, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Leaving a like is also super helpful, and enjoy the ride as we talk about Nintendo every day. So as you may have noticed, I'm on camera today. I usually just go on camera for my live streams, but this time around, because the day for me started with tornado warnings, I live in Miami, I figured, oh, my power might go out. Let me just jump on camera, just kind of talk. I might do a little bit of light editing, but this is going to be more of a simple video, hopefully getting it out sooner before the tornado destroys my power and internet. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but we'll see. Anyways, so what's kind of going on here? We're not sure. That's the main point here. There's a lot that's been sort of been in the talks lately. So much is going on, and it's kind of hard to really come to some sort of determination of what it actually is. So let's first talk about this Nintendo Direct situation. If you've been following me, you may know that I've been predicting that a Nintendo Direct will happen on February 7th. And the reason I'm predicting this isn't because of some sort of crazy inside knowledge or anything like that. It's simply because, if we look at the last couple years, the first full week of the month, Nintendo has had a Nintendo Direct, and they've happened on Wednesdays. And so that's literally what's happening here. But also on top of that, the last couple years, Nintendo has had these Directs just a few days within a week after their Q3 earnings release, which, by the way, is happening this week as well, on the 6th. So a day later, could be the case. Of course, if we look at prior years, it doesn't necessarily have to happen on the first Wednesday, the first full week of the month. So it's possible it could happen later into the month. But it's also possible Nintendo may do something entirely different. And this is something else I want to harp on here that I've also been talking about for a while. If you've been following me for a while, you may already be aware. But because there is this possibility that Nintendo Switch 2 may not only just be announced this year, but it may even come out this year, the whole Direct pattern setup may be thrown out of whack. And so I'm not saying there won't be a Direct in February, but it may not be what we're expecting. And especially when you sort of take into consideration everything we kind of know already for the Switch, and the number of things that Nintendo is able to sort of just showcase through social media as they've been doing, it is conceivable that we will not get a full-scale big general Direct this month, and maybe something smaller, just to fill in the gaps, just to put out enough announcements for the Switch before Nintendo has their big blowout for Switch 2. So this whole Nintendo Direct situation, I think, is closely tied to the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal situation. Some even speculate that they could happen at the same time. We talked about yesterday in a live stream about a video that Nintendo Prime, our friend, put out on Friday, that he heard from his source that has told him things in the past that have materialized into actual things that have been true relating to GameStop, that the higher ups, not management, not local management, as a lot of people are talking about, saying, "Oh, there's no way," and I agree, that would things would leak very quickly if that was the case. But the idea is that upper management are hearing things. That's the supposed inside information there. And so if they're hearing things, the implication is that an announcement could be happening soon for Switch 2. And I think this makes sense. I mean, we've talked about some other rumors recently that seem to be hinting at other retailers maybe hearing about something that's about to happen, and so they're perhaps preparing, internally as SKUs or what have you, and getting ready for that time when the pre-orders open up. Like, it's possible. A lot of people have been thinking that Switch 2 will be announced in March, and that's been my prediction as well. We don't know when it's going to happen for sure, but that seems to be kind of the overall consensus. And so, if it is the case that this rumor from Nintendo Prime is true, and for the record, technically, the rumor doesn't tell us when it's going to happen. It could still be sometime in February or March, it's hard to say, but based off what he indicated, there is an increased chance it could happen within a week, which I'm skeptical of, but hypothetically speaking, if this were to be happening, then what does that mean for a Direct this week? That's kind of hard to say. Maybe it's all in one. Maybe it's a big general Direct that has a special Switch 2 teaser at the end, and then they say more details soon. It feels like something that would not happen. I do not think that. I am not going to predict that. I would say don't expect that, because I think you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. But is it completely out of the realm of possibility? I wouldn't say it's completely, but I do feel like it's a very low chance. But we'll see. But beyond that, though, there's other things going on. So, for example, this Wind Waker Twilight Princess HD situation. If you've been following me, you may have noticed I've talked about this a couple times throughout the year so far. And it's because new information continues to present itself. So, first off, there's the simple idea that we are approaching the end of the Switch generation. If these games were supposed to come to Switch, perhaps getting them out around now would be a good time, because the Switch is nearing its end. And when I say nearing its end, I still think we're going to have a couple years of games in support, very similar to how Nintendo supported the 3DS all the way until 2019, even though the Switch came out in 2017. So there will still be support, it'll just be diminished support. But that said, because the Switch is nearing the end, maybe you want to get these out now while it's still kind of in the spotlight to some extent before Switch 2. And also, Nintendo likes to have some sort of Zelda content per year. So what's it going to be for 2024? Maybe it could be these. If they're ports from Wii U, they're already pretty much done. They can be brought out pretty much at any point. Nintendo is likely sitting on them. That's the overall belief when it comes to these things. But in terms of actual new information, a few different things have been popping up. So recently, Nintendo announced that there are going to be a couple concerts happening next week. We have a Splatoon concert and a Zelda concert. And this is interesting, right? Because we have the Q3 earnings release next week. Actually, this is a Sunday, so it's this week, right? And then at the end of the week, we're getting a Zelda concert and then a Splatoon concert. Now, it's been discussed that these were supposed to be for the canceled Nintendo Live event. For Splatoon, it's confirmed. For a Zelda one, it's not confirmed that was going to be for the Nintendo Live. But fact of the matter is, both have been positioned for this week. In the same week, we're getting a Q3 earnings release, and also in the week that matches the pattern of Nintendo Directs. So it feels like Nintendo's positioned these concerts to happen after a Nintendo Direct. And so we're probably, well, not probably, we're almost certainly going to get news on the Splatoon 3 DLC during a Direct, because we already have a date for the actual DLC. So it seems likely that we'll get information on Splatoon, and then because Splatoon is going to be in the conversation, having the concert around this time is simply good marketing. But what about the Zelda one? Well, if there's a Zelda announcement and a hypothetical direct in this upcoming week, then it makes sense to have a Zelda concert shortly afterwards. But then going beyond that, we recently discovered that there are going to be amiibo restocks, Zelda amiibo restocks for early March. One of them is a Sheik amiibo from Smash, another is the Guardian amiibo from Breath of the Wild, but another is the Wolf Link amiibo from Twilight Princess HD, a game that came out 8 years ago, 2016, before the Nintendo Switch, and they are restocking this one, which I find very, very curious. Maybe there is really going to be a release for Twilight Princess HD, at least, and that's why this amiibo is coming out soon. But what adds even more fuel to this fire, let me check Twitter here, I kind of bookmarked it. I'm just reading this out. The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess manga is set to release in an 11-volume complete box set this fall with a included double-sided poster. So we have a Twilight Princess manga that's coming out as well. That's just been announced. And then we also recently had the leaks for Zelda Lego set. It hasn't been announced yet, but it's supposedly coming out September. We shall actually see on that, but the leaker has a long history of leaking Lego sets. They have a clean track record here, so pretty much everyone believes this is happening, not to mention we actually saw a leak for the literal Lego set last year, and people had their videos taken down when they showed imagery of it, so that won't be happening here. But the point is, there's a lot of little Zelda things that seem to be happening right now, and so with all this different merchandising that's going on, typically these types of things coincide with some sort of release. You want to get these things out in stores because there may be something bringing people to stores, and thus it's more opportunity to have more sales, right? So if someone goes in to pre-order or buy a game, they may see that Wolf Link amiibo and like, oh, this is going to work for this game I'm going to pre-order or buy. Let's pick that up as well. And so there's this belief that these could all be subtle signs that at least Twilight Princess may be announced in a direct, potentially this week. But again, I want to emphasize potentially. We do not know what is actually going to happen here. So that's another little thing, right? That may be going on. But then there's also the Metroid Prime 4 situation. So with the Metroid Prime 4 situation, we saw that there was a LinkedIn profile listing for someone that said they were working at Retro Studios since March of 2023 as a QA tester. And we also saw other signs of Retro Studios working with different companies, and a lot of these things were taken down. I've discussed this already in different videos. Some of this comes from Super Metal Dave. All that will be linked in the description below. But the point is, these things are being hidden, and it seems to be suggesting Metroid Prime 4 is nearing completion, as we reported on last year. And so this year, it would suggest that, it's about to come out. That's what it would suggest. So we have this belief that a Switch 2 announcement is soon. We have this theory that there could be a direct in February, as a lot of information would support. And then there's all this merchandising and different Zelda stuff going on that seems to be hinting at some type of Zelda announcement soon. And then we have the seemingly imminent Metroid Prime 4 reveal. So what is going on? Are any of these things actually imminent? Are they about to happen? Feels like a boiling point here. But what I want to say is that it's possible that we could be setting ourselves up for disappointment. I'm not saying I know what the Nintendo Direct is going to be, but conceivably it won't be a big Direct. And so I think we should be prepared for that, right? But if it is a small Direct, then the exciting thing about that is that would sort of show that Nintendo is no longer operating under the typical Direct pattern, which lines up with thinking that, yeah, Switch 2 is right around the corner. So this debate that people are saying, oh no, Switch 2 is not coming out there, it is coming out this year, once Nintendo doesn't have like a full-scale direct when they should, to me that's got to be like the final nail in the coffin, or at least I would think it's the final nail in the coffin for most people thinking that it can't be happening this year. So it would be good news in a way. It would be bittersweet, right? If we got a small direct that doesn't have too many exciting things, because it would be hinting strongly that Nintendo is about to show something really big, which would have to do with Switch 2. And I would think that when it comes to Metroid Prime 4, that if it's just going to be a small direct, that they are saving Prime 4 for this big Switch 2 showcase. But at the same time, if it is just a small direct, it would still be a direct, and a small direct could have an announcement for a few ports, even Zelda ports that were from the Wii U, like a Twilight Princess and a Wind Waker HD. These are completely reasonable to expect, I would say. They're not crazy things. It feels crazy because we've been waiting so long to get them, but they will be low-effort ports. They've already been done. They wouldn't cost Nintendo too many resources to put out there, and it would excite a lot of people. A lot of people would buy this, right? So from a sales perspective, I think it's a grand opportunity for Nintendo to do this now. And so I'm almost convinced that they are going to be announced, at least Twilight Princess, which seems crazy. I'm not saying that for sure this is going to happen, but that's kind of what I'm personally predicting based off the information that's out there. But there's another possibility, and I don't like this possibility, but I'm just putting it out there because you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen, right? And I just want to iterate that I've been talking about a normal direct potentially not happening since September, just so we're clear. And it may be the case that we don't even get a Nintendo Direct Mini in February, which I think a lot of people would be freaking out over if that's what happens. Like, if we just get a partner showcase, for those that don't know, in 2020, when Nintendo was dealing with COVID, and like most game companies were, we didn't get a lot of major announcements for a while, but what we did get instead were these partner showcases where at least Nintendo would showcase some third-party games. But if you're a hardcore Nintendo fan, it kind of sucked. It wasn't fun for a lot of Nintendo fans. There were some cool things that showed up in some of those partner showcases. Don't get me wrong, we had Age of Calamity in one, we had Monster Hunter in another. So like there were some cool things that showed up in these showcases. I think it was Monster Hunter, or was it Shin Megami Tensei 5? I gotta double check that. But the main point is simply that there were some cool things, but they were all third-party related to some extent. And it wasn't, you know, like a brand new Zelda game, or a Metroid, or the next 3D Mario. Like, it wasn't anything to that level, right? So, it is conceivable that that's what Nintendo does. Which, if that happens, I don't even know if expecting Wind Waker and Twilight Princess in that would be fair. Now, if they outsource the project, then maybe it would be. So, basically what I'm saying is, we don't know what's going to happen. It may be the case that we will not get what we're hoping for at first, but the overall point here is that things are happening. Maybe things don't happen the way we're expecting. Maybe it starts off slow with something like a partner showcase, but then as the weeks draw on, it seems like it's going to get increasingly more exciting. So I still think Nintendo's looking to have a very big, exciting year, and so if we don't get anything incredibly exciting at first, this isn't a sign for doom and gloom, but rather the opposite. Of course, I'm personally pulling for a typical General Direct that gives us Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, the Metroid Prime 2 and 3, the Metroid Prime 4, give us a Donkey Kong, I want all of that, and then Switch 2 a month later. Like, that's what I want. But what's actually going to happen? Probably something a little bit less than that. But we shall see. What do you all think, though? Let me know in the comments below. This is Andres Restart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care.